This program is a production of the Panoply Network, a subsidiary of Pizza Plea Media.
Welcome to Whatever Happened to Pizza at McDonald's, the investigative journalism program where I ask the question, whatever happened to the pizza at McDonald's? I'm your host, Brian Thompson. An unfortunate side effect of my investigation is that I am frequently contacted and asked for comment on every menu adjustment, publicity stunt, or egregious labor violation perpetrated by the McDonald's Corporation. To an extent, I understand this. As the world's foremost expert on McDonald's pizza and related matters such as whatever happened to it, etc., I have probably spent more time inside McDonald's restaurants than anyone on Earth, save perhaps for the people charged with delivering notice of health code violations. In fact, I have probably spent more time even outside McDonald's restaurants than anyone on Earth, since I frequently stand in the drive-thru lane interviewing motorists until I am asked to disperse. But very few of these topics are directly related to my primary investigation. Between all of my investigative journaling and my numerous self-care hobbies, such as researching how many times you can refuse to leave a drive-thru lane without committing a crime, I have very little time in the day to devote to irrelevant pursuits. For example, I am well aware from listener correspondence that former McDonald's CEO Mr. Stephen Easterbrook was fined $400,000 for lying to the SEC about the extent of his workplace romances. But this is less a topic of interest for me than it is for fans of based on a true story fast food-themed corporate bodice rippers, and I could never be described as a fan of such, as the number of novels I have read in this lowbrow genre is nearly none. Similarly, I am bombarded with dozens of correspondences per day seeking my comment on the pizza served at the novelty truck stop McDonald's location in Orlando, Florida. At the risk of committing an act of rudeness, I simply can no longer waste time by responding to these messages, as that brick oven-baked pizza in no way resembles original recipe McDonald's pizza and is therefore non-canon. But a new, non-pizza related promotional campaign from McDonald's bears some mention, if not in my capacity as a journalist, then in my capacity as a concerned citizen. This week, McDonald's announced the addition of a new, limited-time menu item called the As Featured In meal. Any consumer of popular entertainment can tell you that McDonald's has been prominently featured in films and television programs for decades, mostly in entertainments targeted at an audience of children. For example, in the children's film Mac and Me, which is about a family of extraterrestrials who migrate to Earth so that they might undergo the expensive and lengthy process of obtaining legal United States citizenship, the titular alien Mac accompanies the titular Me to a friend's birthday party at McDonald's. This film was not a financial success at the box office, as the extraterrestrials in it are quite disgusting looking. But it has since achieved some popularity via television rebroadcasts, in which FCC standards require the pixelization of the aliens' horrible faces and exposed genitalia. It makes sense that McDonald's would target children with their advertising, since children do not have the life experience to understand this is not what hamburgers or chicken nuggets are supposed to taste like. In addition to Mac and Me, the list of children's films featuring McDonald's products also includes the 1994 live-action adaptation of The Flintstones, the 1994 live-action adaptation of Richie Rich, and the 2016 film 13 Hours, which is a live-action adaptation of the Benghazi tragedy. While not necessarily a children's film, recent changes in Texas and Florida state laws require it be shown in elementary schools to teach students why Hillary Clinton deserves to be in prison. And now McDonald's is at it again, as the new as-featured-in meal includes rebranded packets of sweet and sour sauce promoting Loki Season 2. Loki Season 2 is the second season of a Disney.com web series called Loki, which is about the famous god of mischief from white supremacist mythology. Only on this program, he is not just a god, but is also a superhero from another sacrilegious pantheon, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For many years, entertainments featuring such superheroes have been enormously popular with both children and adults who are at a similar reading level. But unfortunately for McDonald's, and as I will soon argue the world at large, their popularity has recently been waning. Perhaps the peak of the superhero craze came in the year 2019 with the release of the film Marvel's The Avengers: Endgame. I did not see the movie myself, as I was simply too busy at the time, but I understand it served as a culmination of the Marvel Cinematic Universe story up to that point, finally climaxing with a scene wherein perhaps the most popular superhero of all, the Iron Man, puts on a sparkly glove and kills himself. This film broke every major box office record, as scores and scores of children returned to the theater again and again to watch their hero pass away. In fact, they were so satisfied with this ending that when the Iron Man actor Robert Downey Jr. reappeared the very next year in another children's film called Doolittle, it was a major financial failure, despite, or perhaps because, of the fact that Mr. Downey Jr. attempted to recreate the success of his previous character by having Doolittle talk a bobcat into mauling him to death. Since then, no superhero film or television program has created nearly as big a sensation. In fact, many have even earned Rotten Tomatoes scores so rotten that the tomatoes in question would not even be served by McDonald's. Meanwhile, recent weeks have proven children's imaginations have been diverted from fictional superheroes to real-life characters of both historical importance and moral complication. Today, if one were to stroll through an elementary school playground recording children's conversations, as one has every right to do as a taxpayer whose money helps fund these selfsame playgrounds, then one is likely to hear discussion not of the Iron Man and his heroic embrace of death, but of J. Robert Oppenheimer and his even more impressive feat of becoming death. While perhaps good news for the culture, this is very bad news indeed for McDonald's and for those who care about the preservation of the environment. I am afraid that the waning of superhero popularity will mean vast numbers of these Loki Season 2 branded sweet and sour sauce packets will remain unsold well past their expiration dates. As a concerned citizen, I decided this impending mass disposal event should be reported to the relevant authorities as soon as possible.
Thank you for calling the Environmental Protection Agency, Pacific Southwest Regional Office.
You have reached the U.S. EPA Region 9 tip line. Please leave your name, phone number, and your tip. Or you may go online at www.epa.gov/TIPS and leave your information there. In either case, you may remain anonymous. Thank you.
Record your message after the tone. When you've finished, you can hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hello, I would like to remain anonymous considering the extreme personal and professional retaliation I may receive for giving you this tip, but unfortunately I am an award-pending journalist and I'm sure you recognize my voice. Yes, it is me, Brian Thompson, investigative journalist. I was just calling the Environmental Protection Agency to give you a bit of a proverbial heads up as to a potential massive violation of the Earth's environment vis-a-vis a dumping of some unsold sauce from the McDonald's Corporation. Despite all evidence that these sort of superhero television programs and movies are on the decline as far as popular interest is concerned. McDonald's has insisted on going forward with a promotional tie-in campaign with an upcoming superhero television program called Loki Season 2, and they will be producing, I am sure, thousands upon thousands of special sweet and sour sauce packets with Loki Season 2 branded content printed on the top. Of course, anyone with their literal finger on the metaphorical pulse of popular culture can tell you that many of these sauce packets are going to remain unsold well past their expiration date and will have to be disposed of. I do not see any way that the McDonald's Corporation will be able to do so, short of filling them in a landfill or perhaps dumping them into the ocean. And of course, if they put them in the landfill, that will endanger our groundwater supply. And to a lesser extent, it would be a major inconvenience to those vintage car enthusiasts who scour landfills and junkyards for used car parts. Those will be covered in disgusting sticky sauce. And of course, if they dump them into the ocean, there is no telling what that will do to our sea turtle population, as I am fairly certain sea turtles do not even like sweet and sour sauce. So being a bureaucratic government agency, I understand that the Environmental Protection Agency probably has a lot of paperwork that needs to be filed in a situation such as this. So I was just giving you a call to perhaps save you some time, and maybe you could fill out some of that paperwork before this mass sauce disposal operation starts happening. On the off chance that there is any sort of financial reward or compensation for a valuable tip, you can feel free to mail a check or a money order in my name, Brian Thompson, to the following address. That would be Brian Thompson, care of the Panoply Network, a wholly owned subsidiary of Pizza Plea Media, 2 Street, New York, United States, New York. I am not actually at that location yet. I am about to move in a few weeks and have not set up any sort of corporate address. That is my home address, so please, if you wouldn't mind keeping it confidential. Thank you very much for your time. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Goodbye. Do you know what happened to pizza at McDonald's? Do you remember it? Please send all correspondence to pizza@mcdonalds@gmail.com. To support the show, please join my Patreon at patreon.com/pizza@mcd's for exclusive benefits. And for more information, including links to social media, merchandise opportunities, etc., visit pizza@mcdonalds.com. Thank you to my invaluable Patreon producers: Adam Crump, Dan Dreyer, David Friedman, Grant Bacon, Jacob Ford, Joe Kajik, Kimberly King, Kyle Tarak, Nicole Besta, Pam Gabriel, Polly Egan, Wesley, Will, Andrew Duffy, Andrew Ahmed Rubin, Billy Jean, Brad Allen Thompson, Gerald Lewis, Jay Poop, Calvin Thomas, Can You Fly Bobby, Laurel Paul, Mel, Mitchell Kordick, Opus Mareshi, Paul Fu, and Ryan Guggenmoss. I'm Brian Thompson, investigative journalist.